This time on ChinnyVision, 5 terrible Spectrum games. In my opinion. Yes, everybody has an opinion. You have yours, I have mine. So today I'm going to show you 5 Spectrum games that are, in my opinion, absolutely terrible. First up, we have Summer Santa, a 1986 game from Alpha Omega Software. Yes, it's a Christmas game, but it was released, or at least reviewed, in September, and clearly Alpha Omega Software put this out on budget in the middle of summer, because why not? There's no link to summer at all in the game. It is just a Santa game. What you have to do is collect toys from your grotto, and then drop them off in the house. Yes, there is only one house. Do you ride on your sleigh, your magic sleigh, to the house? No, you simply leave your grotto and you just drop down onto the roof, where some barking dogs, cats, foxes, badgers, who knows, are wandering around and your sprite corrupts badly. The game has 6 or 7 screens in total, and there's not an awful lot to it. You can only carry one present at a time. You have to drink the sherry. You get 11% of your score if you even just manage to pick up a sherry. The colour clash is something else. Yes, there's no reason why the sprites should have bright blue blocks around them. Yeah. You might be hoping for some kind of massive house that you can explore, several houses to drop the presents off at. No. You might even expect to be avoiding being seen by people because, of course, you're Santa. That doesn't matter either. It's just another tacky Christmas game, and one that was sold in the middle of summer with no link to the summer at all. Dreadful. Grange Hill, the tea time TV show based around a school with characters like Gonch, Hollow, and yeah, all these people are before my time. Griffiths, I remember Griffiths. I'm more Danny Kendall and Mr. Bronson and that lot. So, what do? Are you expecting this to be some kind of school days type thing? No, it's a adventure game where you walk around and you pick things up and you drop them. And it's all very monochrome, and you can jump very fast, and your mate follows you around, and yes, you die by falling over a loose paving stone. You will die a lot in this game. Most of it will not be your fault. It will just be the game being incredibly unfair. Grange Hill is bleak. Grange Hill is the most bleak game of all time. You see a shifty man in leather jacket. Hey son, want to buy some of this? The man offers you a small packet of white powder. But don't worry, there's a jaunty tune for 128K Spectrum owners. You've got a menu system, apparently designed by John Pickford, where you can communicate with the people. I want to try and I'm going to try and communicate with the Pusher, as he's called. Get away from me, kid, because, yeah, when you show. Yeah, anyway. You can communicate with characters, you can pick things up, you can jump really fast, and if you go left, you accidentally go home, and you die. You spent all day being oppressed at school, come home and be oppressed by this tat. Shakey Stevens was the most successful artist in the 1980s in the UK in terms of weeks on the charts. This game came included on his album. Hi, I'm Shakey. It's late, close to midnight. You have to help me reach the old house full of vampires before my fuel runs out. Watch out for the flying bats. They will drive you crazy. You see what they've done there? They've got... yeah. You get 3 lives. How high can you get in my top 10? Reach the house with as much fuel as possible to get a high score. I'll be satisfied if you get on the chart. but it's raining, and if you reach your house quickly, you might win something. Do your best. Give me your heart. Yeah, okay, Shakey, we get the hint. And it's like a ZX81 game. Incidentally, this is requires a 48K Spectrum, apparently. You have to press a direction key when you come to the gap and avoid the bats which are flying around, because Shakey Stevens is infamously plagued by bats everywhere. Bats everywhere. Just anywhere Shakey goes, bats, I'm dead. And there's a not digitised picture of Shakey. It's more like a CFAX graphic. Off we go again. It's 11:55. We've got 5 minutes to do this, and there's our fuel. I mean, it's not going to take 5 minutes to get into the middle, is it really? I mean, you've just got to time it right. So we go, oh, no, okay, right. Oh no, another bat's emerged again. Am I going to end up doing the same thing again? Going, no, the controls don't respond. Oh dear, a bat bit you. Okay, this game's free on an album. And chances are you wouldn't have got it to load it anyway, because you'd be on it'd be on an album, an LP, vinyl record. And most people's record players at this time weren't that good unless you're using your mum or dad's. So if you got this to actually load or not by copying onto a cassette, I'd be very interested. Perhaps I need to buy a copy of the album to see if I can make it load. Sorry, you're out of my top 10. So are you, Shakey. So are you. Great Gurianos. How do you pronounce that? Great Guranios. It's a game introduced by Tato in the arcade. And you can see from redefining the keys, it's kind of complicated, because even though you've got joystick controls, you need to use the keys as well to control the shield. And the shield has a top, middle, or bottom. And then what happens after you've shielded people throwing rocks at you, you end up against some kind of gladiator. You use your shield to defend and your sword to fight. But it's too much. The controls are too complicated. You have these lovely big sprites, and it looks attractive. You'd imagine this on a box. But even Elite knew this was weak. They only ever put it out on a compilation and then on budget as well, so it didn't really perhaps meet what they thought would be good enough for a full price game, even by Elite standards. That's saying something, isn't it? It's just controlling. It's just controlling the sword and the shield at the same time. There are 3 levels in total, and you can't win the game because the final baddie cannot be defeated. Count Ocular 2 by alternative. Count Ocular 1, bit of a classic. People think it's a rather good game. I've never really got on with it, but people regard it highly. You think Count Ocular 2 would be just a reworking on the same engine? No. It's very badly animated, jumping onto platforms that appear out of thin air, and really badly drawn graphics in I can't believe it wasn't written in 1983 type way, because this is 1992. It's not as bad as the Amstrad version. The Amstrad version is like this, but much slower and even less controllable. The controls don't really work that well, and when you die, you've got to wait for the screen to reset into the position you need it to, which can be sometimes quite a wait. It is absolutely dreadful in every way. There's no sound in the game. Sinclair user vaguely like this, but we all know about Sinclair user. Your Sinclair were less kind. Nothing compared to what Amstrad Action thought of this game. Although, on the Spectrum here, I think you've got extra screens. The Amstrad version is slower, cut down, and even worse than this. And again, this is 1992. There's really no defence for this kind of rubbish for a licensed game, or a big licence at that, because Count Ocular was a big cartoon series in the UK at this time. That's 5 terrible games for the Sinclair Spectrum. Summer Santa, there's no excuse. It's not just a Christmas cash-in game, it's a Christmas cash-in game put out in the middle of summer that claims to have some kind of link, but has none. Grange Hill is the most depressing game of all time. It's another example of having a really good license to develop your game around and producing utter rubbish. All the things you could have done. You could have had some kind of school days type game, back to school game, but no, you've got some graphical adventure rubbish that just wants to kill you at every turn. The Shakey game is at least excusable because it's a free game that came on an album, but it's still absolutely rubbish in a I can't believe it wasn't released on a ZX81 type way. Great Gurianos, however you say it. Even Elite recognised how bad this was, only putting out on a compilation and on budget. As a still, it looks attractive, large graphics, but the game is short, impossible to finish, and pretty impossible to control as well. At best, you end up randomly mashing the shield keys, all three of them on the keyboard, while you try and fight with your sword on the joystick. Let alone the fact if you're on the keyboard alone, you need so many fingers you wouldn't believe it. Ocular 2 is one of the most inexcusable games of all time. You've got the engine from the original game, why not reuse it and do a second game? Yes, that would be lazy, but at least it would work. This is absolute rubbish. It's 10 years out of its time, and that's inexcusable when you've got a really popular cartoon franchise that you're capitalising on. No audio, jerky graphics, controls that don't work, really badly thought out gameplay, and it just looks terrible. Absolute rubbish trying to profit off an excellent cartoon. So that's 5 terrible Spectrum games. That's just my opinion. You may disagree. You may like some of these games. Please let me know your comments down below, and of course remember to like and subscribe to ChinnyVision because that stuff helps as well. Thanks for watching. See you soon.